Hello, this is Guy7, and today I'm going to show you how to make a title screen for Super Mario 64 DS with a gradient using Nitro Character. Now, first thing you're going to need is Nitro Character, which I'll provide into the description, overlay 7dcomp.zip, and Edge pixel art editor, which you'll see why we'll need that later. But anyways, what we're going to do is open our ROM with the editor as usual, which you probably should have by now. Now in ARM9 overlays, you're going to want decompress overlay 7 and hit extract. And now I'm just going to call this overlay 7.bin. And I'm also going to create a backup of it just in case anything goes wrong. Now I'm going to extract this one. This first one I'm going to use as a reference in case I need it. It's always good to have a backup, so I'm just going to call this reg. And then the second one I'm just going to extract, and this is going to be the one that I edit. Basically, I took all the files that are image related in overlay 7 and put them all in this zip file for easy editing for Nitro Character. So you can just be able to open and edit them. So with that being said, let's actually make our title screen now. You're going to want to make a 256 by 128. Now it's a weird ratio, but it doesn't really matter. And how the DS stores kind of tiles or whatever are like 8 by 8 blocks like this. So actually it doesn't really matter how you organize the tile data here. As long as everything fits to an 8 by 8 block, you can just scramble everything. But once again, just make sure each tile fits in an 8 by 8 block so you can put them together in Nitro Character. So first thing I'm going to do is make a background, which I need to unselect that first. Okay, simple green screen background, blah blah blah. Then I'm going to just make a simple title screen kind of thing. Title screen. It might be a bit too big, but let's just put that over there. I'm not really concerned about the alignment. Like, I can put the title screen thing all the way up there. Doesn't matter, I can always bring it down later. I'm not really checking to see if it's aligned, but usually you would, you know, have some 8 by 8 blocks just to kind of see how it would align almost. And now I'm going to make some gradients on the right. You see that I left all this space here. It's because I want to make a gradient. So in this 8 by 8 block, I'm not even going to really try. I'm going to copy that, move it, then fill it with orange. Copy another thing. Obviously, you would want use the colors you want, make some sort of actual gradient, but I'm just kind of doing this rainbow thing. You see I like selected a different color for the background so I don't like interfere. Well, kind of. I might want to change the background color then, since it's so like that. I'm going to change the background color to something like this. That way I can easily distinguish it from everything else. And since this has aliasing or whatever, maybe it'd just be better if I like get rid of it in general. So I'm just going to undo this title screen stuff. And I don't want like intermediate colors because that might interfere and like make the thing look weird against the gradient. So I'm going to turn anti-aliasing off so I can just do title. Wrong color. Title screen. And you can see it doesn't like go all fuzzy with the background. Now normally you would want to have it be fuzzy with colors that kind of go with the gradient, but you know. Speaking of fuzziness, what happened over here? Looks like it overwritten some of my colors. Let me fix that real quick. Alright, now I got this interesting kind of gradient going on here. Keep in mind that you want to use 255 colors at most. If you don't, then you might have some problems. Now you could have each tile like use different colors in here, like I can have different shades of red fade into the orange, but you know, I'm not going to really try for the sake of this tutorial. Anyways, once you're done with this, I'm just going to save this as a BMP. You can't use GIMP to save BMPs because it tends to make it so Nitro Character can't read it. And remember, you want to use 256 colors at most with this, and make sure the resolution is 256 by 128. So I'm just going to call this title.bmp, nothing special. Alright. And then what we're going to do is open it up with Edge. And why am I going to open this up with a Japanese program? Well, the thing is, since GIMP can't like save our tile map correctly, and the thing is, Nitro Character makes the first color palette in the entry kind of like transparent. So that's a bad thing, considering that our black is the first color in the color palette, which means it would be the one that would become transparent, and so we'd have this green background and the text missing replaced with the gradient, and we don't want that. So what we're going to do is actually kind of like, oh dear, there's like multiple of these, but no matter. So I'm going to change the first entry of the palette to be our background. What I'm going to do is just kind of like change it to something that doesn't exist, like yeah, this. Or we can just have white be the background, sure, why not. And now what I'm going to do, if I were to fill the background with white, then we would get rid of all that text. So what I'm going to do is take this fill tool here and select an intermediate color to use. It could be any color, but I'm just going to pick blue. Then I'm going to select white. Now it's important that none of the background colors match, or the gradients match this color that I'm going to use. And then once again I can use black. I can just change this one to black since I don't think anything uses it. And there we go. Here's the title screen. Remember that the white is going to be transparent, so it doesn't really matter. So I'm saving it, and I could close out of it. Oh, no, I wanted to get out of that. Now if I open up the BMP again, you can see that it keeps white as the first entry in the palette, and that everything else is fine. Now Edge is actually a Japanese pixel art app, and it's actually really good for making pixel art, and I actually recommend it. I'm trying to use it, but, you know, the problem is it's in Japanese, but whatever. You can still kind of figure out the controls. Anyways, moving on now, I'm going to open up Nitro Character. This thing will come up, but just hit cancel, it's fine. It'll let you use it. Now I'm going to import a BMP. And then I'm going to select this thing, because I don't want to modify the color palette. I spent so long just trying to get it the way it is. Now if all goes well, it should load up perfectly right here. You can see that's hiding a bit to the right there. But now what I'm going to do is start saving things. This is going to be the color palette for the title screen. So in color palette, I'm going to save this as title demo main U, because that's going to be the palette for the title screen. Then for this one, I'm going to save it as a character, because it's a character. And this is going to be titled demo main. Alright. And keep in mind, you can do this with any of the files in that, although I would open them first to see exactly what they are, which I'll demonstrate later. And now what I'm going to create are the screen files, because the title screen has two screen files, one for the title screen to display, and another one for the gradient in the background. So I'm going to hit New Screen. Okay, make sure it's 256 by 256. Make sure Align is off, and all the characters match, and select this thing right here. I'm going to hit OK, and then I get this thing. The yellow screen, or the yellow line here, represents where the DS screen is. So that should give you a perspective. But basically what I can do is I can select this whole part here, paste it in. Now my title screen will be right in the middle here. Now I'm just going to hit Control S to save. And I'm going to go to the main, and then title screen.nsc. Then after that, I'll hit OK. If that says unsaved, then you can just save it. Now I'm going to make the gradient, which in this case it should keep the same settings from before. Just remember to hit this thing. And now I have this. Now I'm going to highlight my gradient. Obviously, I'm doing a lazy job of this, but I'm going to kind of paste that in there. Now I get this rainbow thing. You're going to want to actually try with your gradient, but whatever. I'm not here to try, I'm just here to give a tutorial, so there we go. Now I got all my files that I need. So what I'm going to do next is kind of compare file sizes. And I can actually have Nitro Character now. I'm going to save all. So that way, there's that. I'm going to open that in a new window, so I have this. And now it's time to compare the file sizes. First of all, the color palette, 556, 556. Alright. Also, I'm just going to go ahead and check. The first entry on the list of the palette, you can see that's that magenta one that we selected, or sorry, the white. Because if I actually open this in like calculator, according to Roadrunner, how palette data is stored is that'll be like 1-bit alpha, 5-bit red, 5-bit green, and 5-bit blue. So if I actually type in hex here, it's little endian, so you would do, instead of FF7F, you would do 7FFF. And so you can see it's like 250, it's the max value for red, green, and blue, and the one in front is alpha, and you can see it doesn't have an alpha value. But alpha doesn't matter anyways, since this one entry right here will always be transparent. So now what we're going to do is compare the characters. So if I look here, title demo main 32.6, they should match perfectly as long as you've resized the image to exactly as I said you should. Then time for this, and oh no, they're slightly higher. What am I going to do? Well, don't panic. I'm just going to open this with HXD. What do we call this? Yeah, open NCS with HXD. Alright. So these are going to be my defaults, and then I'm going to open up the other ones. So here's mine, and this is the original. So if I scroll down all the way to the bottom of the original, you can see that ends right here. And mine is just slightly longer, but what you can notice here is that in this one, the link, well, things are a bit different. I can actually shorten this link part. The only downside is if I edit this link part, I won't be able to open up my NSC again in Nitro Studio because it'll try looking for this file. If I screw up the name, then it won't find it. But that's not too important for in-game, because in-game it doesn't really care what the names are, just cares where they are in memory. So I can just safely just start blah 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 blah. Keep backspacing all the way until this. Remember, I don't want to touch these things right here, and I don't want to delete this or anything in that. So now I'm going to highlight link all the way to CMT, and it's a length of 14. So instead of the 2C here, I'm going to put 14. So that way the game knows that the file or this link part is a 14 in length and doesn't try reading into the CMT. That might cause a game crash. And in this title screen, if I compare it, you can see it's kind of the same pattern here. So what I can do is start deleting from the link all the way until it's over here where I want it to. Then once again, this should be 14 like the other. And yep, it is 14. And hit save. Now I'll close out of these. And yeah, I can X out of that window. And now I'm going to go over here. I'm going to open up my overlay 7.bin. Now the first thing I'm going to replace is the palette. So I'm going to go into my color palette, that, and I'm going to open up order.txt. Now what this is the order of how the palettes appear in the overlay 7.bin. So if I look for title demo main, you can see it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's the 6th option on the list. I start counting from 0 because that's how programmers count. They start from 0. So what I'm going to do is search NCCL 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this gives me the 6th entry right here. So if I highlight all this, and since it's the exact same file size, it should not interfere with any other files here. So I'm going to scroll back to the top, and I can just X out of this NCL. Now the next thing I'm going to do is the character file, which I'm going to just make this able to open it with HXD, so that way it's simple. Use HXD and not Hex Workshop because it tends to have trouble with large file sizes. So yeah, and it's should be the exact same length. Once again, if it's not, you can start playing with the link. Now if I look in the order, it's 1, 2, 3. It's going to be the third one that pops up. So I'm all the way back at the top here. NCCG 1, 2, 3. Alright, hit paste right. And you can see it does not interfere with the next file. I'm going to save it. Then I'm going to X out of that. And now last we have the screen files. Now I'm going to go into order.txt. I already have them open. These are the NCE files, which are animations. I'm not going to worry about those right now. All I'm going to do right now is just kind of worry about these ones right here, which are the screen files. Or no, actually these are the animations, sorry, these are the screen files, whoops. So if I look for the title screen, that's the second one on the list, so once again. And the thing for this is NCSC, so I'm going to search NCSC 1, 2. Copy all these, paste them in there, make sure it doesn't overwrite. And this next one is easy. The gradient follows right after that, so I know that since that was the second one, this will be the third one, and it's the NSC. So I'm going to hit paste right, and there we go. Here's our new overlay 7.bin. Now I'm going to open up SM64DSe. I'm going to open up your.nds. Yeah, I should also mention this is a European ramen overlay. Although the exact same process should be the same for the US overlay. But I'm not completely sure. I'm just using European. It might be the same for the US, but the file sizes may be different. No, it should be the exact same thing. Unless the files are stored in a different order, which I can't really say if they are or are not. So I'm going to replace the overlay with my new one. And then I'm going to open it up with DSMUME and see if it works. Alright, and now you can see that I have my title screen here with the background gradient. It was a pretty simple. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I'll see you all later. But before we go, I'm going to show you the power of Nitro Character. Now, Nitro Character is Nintendo's actually official tool for making these image things, which is why I kind of made this tutorial in the first place, to kind of get you used to it. If you actually were to hex edit those, and compared to the Tink tutorial where I just had the raw data, these files actually have headers and stuff like that, so feel free to look at them to know what I'm talking about. But I can just go in things like the regular here, and I can look, oh, there's the title screen. Yep, here's all the title screen files, the palette, blah blah blah. And I can also open, what if I want to open the gradient? You can see the gradient here. Then I can also open the file select castle. Remember this? And then here's a cool thing about this one. The castle actually is the same image but has different palettes. So I can open a color palette, orange castle or whatever. And I can select the palette somewhere, maybe. Oh, it's in the NCG color palette. Then look, I get the orange castle. How cool is that? Now I can open things like in the main, like some more things like this, but I don't really know what that's for. It has to do with something else. So, and then there's also animations here. And if I go to staranimation.nce, you can see that this is actually the animation for the star. So yeah, there's actually a lot you can play around with here. And it opened up this title demo.ncg, which is the NCG file for it. And so yeah, you can edit files, play around, and use my order.txt to like put things back in the game. It's really as simple as that, as long as the file sizes are all correct. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. That's been of some sort of use, and I'll see you all later.